Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to go ahead and get started because, when we say we're going to start at 6, we want to get you in and out so that you can enjoy your dinner. But we are so glad that you're here with us this evening for the Knoxville Alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated May Week 2024 Credit Repair and Financial Planning Seminar. I'm your host for this afternoon. I'm Tirsa Smith, and we're just so excited because Delta Sigma Theta recognizes April as Financial Fortitude Month, and we want to give you the tools to improve your credit, improve your finances. We have two dynamic guest speakers with us this evening. Our presenters include Kristie Blevins, America's Financial WellBeing Program Manager at Operation Hope, and she will be followed by DaVett Jones, the author of Who Taught You How to Be Broke? Now, they're going to break down understanding your credit, how to make up that credit score, how to establish and rebuild your credit profile, financial planning, and life insurance. So we want to get right to it. First up, we have Kristie Blevins. She's our first speaker. And Kristie owns Legacy Maker Booking LLC. She obtained her Bachelor's of Arts in Psychology and Master of Science in Social Work in Management and Community Practice from the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. She's a self-published author of her first book, Investing in Inner Wealth, a financial journal to transform your money habits and mindset. She is also a licensed advanced practice social worker working in financial literacy coaching, and she obtained a license as a life insurance producer. She has experience working in the nonprofit sector and the financial industry with a diverse background in leadership and program development, community organizing, grant writing, counseling, and case management. Now, growing up on a meager income in a violent community, it has led her to have a passion for instilling hope by educating, empowering, and equipping others. And that's what she's going to do for us this evening. Thank you so much, Kristie. I'll go ahead and hand it over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you. So as she said, my name is Kristie Blevins, and I'm a financial coach with Operation Hope. Operation Hope, we are a free financial literacy program, and our goals are to help increase credit scores, decrease debt, offer information about savings, and so forth. So actually, before I start this presentation, since Operation Hope, we are a nonprofit, a financial literacy nonprofit program. So if you don't mind putting your email in the chat, basically what that does is you may get a survey after I present this. And also, if you would like to sign up for our newsletter and so forth, because with Operation Hope, we have tons of information to help you with your finances. And even you should see the slide on the screen. So as we go to the next slide, so I would like to share a quote from our chairman and CEO, John Hope Bryant. I highly recommend you, if you're not following him, please do so, because he shares tons of information when it comes to your finances, building wealth, and so forth. So the quote that's listed here, he says, there's a difference between being broke and being poor. Being broke is a temporary economic condition, but being poor is a disabling frame of mind and a depressed condition of your spirit. You must never, ever never, ever vow again to be poor. So as I go through this presentation, I would like for you all to think about that quote. As you see, now I would like to just give an overview of what we have done throughout these 30 years of being at Operation Hope, basically. So as you see, we have served over 4.5 million individuals. Our footprint, which you will see next, we're located in 26 states. And it should show a map that's listed next. So we're located in 26 states, as you see here. The offices, we call them Hope Insides. And the reason why is because we actually partner with banks. And with us partnering with banks throughout the United States, we have a whole lot of resources to help individuals with their finances. Each office, we're trained to do most of the same thing. So you can be in Illinois or Colorado and meet a coach there and still receive the same services that we offer here in Knoxville. Our community uplift model, as you see here, we have the Hope Inside Adult. Within that program, we have the Credit and Money Management, a Home Buyers Program, and a Small Business Development Program. Within that Credit Money Management, we focus on the basis of your financial literacy. So within that, we focus on the credit. We look at a budget. We give you those money management tools. And also from there, we help you come up with a plan. Also within our program, we're able to give you a copy of your FICO 8 TransUnion credit report, since we partner with the Bureau, and we will tell you exactly what you need to do to increase that score. Also within our home buyers program, this is where we partner with people like Tanya as far as a realtor. Here in Knoxville, our partner is First Horizon Bank. However, you do not have to be a First Horizon customer to receive our services. But within the bank, we have mortgage product that we can offer, and other mortgage companies within Tennessee or Knoxville that we can offer to help you. Also, if you're looking to receive that HUD certification, we offer that for you at no cost. Also, with our small business program, it's an 8 weeks course. Within that course, we will teach you anything from learning about a business plan, how to structure your business. We will go over financial statements and so forth. Again, all of these programs are free, no cost to you. So I highly recommend you all to tap into these programs to see what's available for you. Because being a part of Operation Hope, we are big on financial literacy and also just helping the community as a whole build wealth. Also, we have the Hope Inside Youth, where we teach financial literacy there. We have the Hope Inside Workplace, where we talk about the employee financial wellness. And we also have a disaster program where we look at the emergency preparedness, to where basically we partner with FEMA and American Red Cross. So within Operation Hope, we're doing a lot of great things just to help the community. And I highly recommend you all to go to our website, contact me, so I can most definitely get you all plugged in. Next slide, please. Also, I know with taxes, we have passed that mark, but keep in mind, one of the things about our program, we always try to come up with things on how to free money, right? So with the VITAL sites, the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance, if you do not know about those, they offer free tax help. If you make less than $64,000 a year, you can use their services. They will help you with some of your back taxes. I know here in Knoxville at the LT Ross building, they offer this service. Also, there's a website online where you can go to get the free tax prep help as well. And I think the next slide will talk about the earned income tax credit. So that's basically where we actually encourage anyone to apply for taxes, all right? Because there's a chance you could be leaving money on the table. So now this brings me to our presentation on why you all are here today. So basically, I will talk about understanding your credit, what makes up your credit score, and how you establish and build your credit profile. Hopefully within this session, you will gain an understanding of the importance of credit, and also you will increase your credit knowledge as well. So this brings me to getting your credit report. So as you see on the screen, there are 3 credit bureaus. We have Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Each credit bureau, they report different things. So it's very important that you look at each credit report just to see what's reporting, because each of those reports will report different things. Listed on the screen, you see annualcreditreport.com. This is where you can go to get a copy of your credit report at no cost to you. However, it will not have your score, but it will have all of your identifying information to include all of your loan information. I highly recommend you to look at that credit report at least on an annual basis just to see what's reporting. Because sometimes, and I'll tell you, even if your name is spelled incorrect, even if you have something fraudulent going on, it's very important that you take care of all of that information, because those small things that you take care of, especially if your name is spelled incorrect or they have a wrong address listed, that can actually increase your credit score. But again, most definitely as a coach, I can actually tell you exactly what you need to do to dispute any information. We have all those tools for you at no cost. So we tell people, don't pay for anything when it comes to your credit. Operation Hope, we are actually in a place to help with everything you need, whether it's forms, communicating with the credit bureau, communicating with your debt collectors, whatever it may be, we're in position to help you get that score up. Also, when you think about what is on a credit report, as you see here, a credit report is a statement that has information about your credit activity and current loan paying history and status of credit accounts. It includes personal information, So again, it has your name, social security number, your date of birth, addresses where you have lived in the past and currently. Also, it has your employment information listed there. It has account information. So basically, when you open the account, when you close the account, how much the loan was, and so forth. So it's a very detailed record of your financial history. Also, it lists all the inquiries. So anytime you apply for credit, anyone who looked at the credit report, all of that is listed on there. Also, when you think about public records, most definitely if you apply for bankruptcy, for those who owe child support, that's listed on there now. Any payment history, which is very important. So anytime you paid on time, anytime you paid late, how many times you paid during the month if it was late, is very detailed on what's on that credit report. Also, amounts owed, how much you owe on that loan, and basically the length of history, which I'll talk about later, which we tell individuals not to close any accounts there. But it's a very detailed record of your credit report, which is very important that you need to see what's going on. Also, moving on to understanding your credit. So as you see here, growing your credit score. So we see a 730 or and plus is excellent credit. 584 or below is poor credit. In our program, we would like to see at least a 700 because they actually puts you in a good position to be able to purchase anything, basically. Keep in mind, it is possible. I'm grateful that I have been a part of this program, especially here in Knoxville. I was one of the ones who helped build this program, and we have been in existence for 8 years. And I say it's possible because basically just being in Knoxville, we have actually changed the trajectory of how a lot of people view their finances, and I'm grateful to be a part of that. And I have seen people's credit score go from a 500 to a 700. You know, some people would say, well, how long do you think it would take for me to increase that score? Like I tell individuals, it's up to you. Whatever work you put in it is the work you will see coming back to it. But however, even with that being said, I most definitely would give you everything you need to see that score increase. Because, you know, sometimes, and I say this, you know, because I had some clients to do this, you know, I know it's a lot of information out there about finances, which I tell people it's basically the same information. It just goes back to how it's presented and how you understand it. And I say that in a way too, because I know you can go to YouTube and different places like that just to see, okay, what do I need to do to increase my credit score? And I had some clients who done that. And, you know, they'll tell me, well, I tried this or I did this. But then I say, well, remember what we talked about. So one of the things I usually say, just, you know, as a coach, I can't tell you how to spend your money or do anything like that. But my role is to hold you accountable. And like I said, as an agency and a nonprofit, they have given us the tools to help individuals like you to bring that score up. So like I said, you know, contact me and we can get started on doing that to make sure that you have that score where it needs to be. So 4 ways your credit score affects you, basically. So number one, as you see here, your score could determine the price of your bills. So I would tell you, utility companies, cell phone companies, car insurance, different places like that, they will actually charge you based on your credit score, the amount on whatever it is that they're charging you. So they're looking at that credit score just to determine how much they want to charge you for their services. Also, it can affect where you live, for an example. So if you're looking to rent, we see now we're in a time to where they're looking at that credit score just to, you know, even if they want to offer you somewhere to live or, you know, say if they like for you to rent from them. So that's very important as well. And most definitely when you're looking to purchase a home, that credit score has to be a certain amount. I know some people, they'll take it, the credit score around a 660, but like I said, in our program, we would like to see a 700 because the higher that credit score, the lower that interest, all right? The lower that credit score, the higher the interest. So the lower the score, you're paying more money, basically. So it's very important that you work on that credit score. Also, it can affect your job. A lot of employers, they're looking at the credit score to determine whether or not they want to hire you. Also, just a side note, and I don't know if you all or some of you will probably have experienced this, which I have, but I know within our school system, if you're looking to become a chaperone, they're looking at your credit score. However, they will give you that disclosure before signing that application. But the credit score, it matters, especially in a time where we are today, basically. Also, it can influence your relationships. We know, especially before dating, I tell my children, these are conversations to have, because even when I'm working with couples, for an example, especially if you're looking to purchase a home, if one spouse or couple credit score is lower than the others, then that can affect you from getting a mortgage loan and even just going back to renting. So, like I say, that credit score matters and it can affect so many areas in your life. So it's very important that you work on that score. Also, what makes up your credit score? I usually tell my clients, especially when I'm doing my in-person workshops, I tell people, take a picture of this, put this on your refrigerator, somewhere where you see it, because this here is the FICO 8 scoring system. This is the pie chart that they use to determine your credit score. So it's very important that you follow this formula. So as you see, payment history is 35% of your credit score. That's why we highly recommend pay your bills on time. All right. Even if you have a credit card and you're only able to pay that minimal, pay that, because if you're paying at anything late, it's 35% of your credit score. Also, total debt utilization, 30%. So if you're paying everything on time and staying below that 30% credit limit, that's already 65% of your credit score. And even when you think about total debt utilization, that basically goes back to, say, for an example, say if you had a credit card with the $300 credit limit. What that means is you should never go above 30%. So I usually tell people only use at least $100 from that credit limit, because anytime you go above that 30%, it affects your credit score. Lift the credit history. I know I mentioned this earlier. We tell people here, do not close any accounts, especially if it's something reporting good for you. That's already 15% of your credit score. I know before I knew any of this, I know I had a credit card years ago when I was in college, but it felt like I was paying that bill forever. And I closed it, because I didn't know. But when I closed that account, it was good credit that was history that was reporting for me. So when I closed that account, of course, my score did go down because it was history that was taken from me. So again, depending on what's reported on that report, we will actually coach you on what that looks like as far as, keeping those accounts active. Account diversity, that's 10% of your credit score. So for an example here, they don't want to see all credit cards on your credit report. I know some people, they'll have the mentality thinking, well, I have these 5 credit cards, so that will help my credit score. In reality, it can actually be seen as a risk, all right? And the reason why is because it's too much open available credit for you, especially if you're going to get a mortgage loan or something like that. Also, they want to see, basically here, they want to see revolving and installment, all right? A revolving is more so like the credit card. The installment is more so like a car loan or student loan or something like that. And I usually tell people it doesn't take a lot to increase that score. You only need 3 trades. When I say trades, that means installment and revolving. You can have 2 revolving, 1 installment, or 2 installments, 1 revolving. That's all you need on that credit report. I'm the type of individual, I don't like debt, so I don't teach it. I only teach it in a way to make it work for you, okay? So that's what they want to see there. Also, anytime you apply for new credit and get approved, you get 10%. So again, if you follow in this pie chart, that credit score will be exactly where you need for it to be. So for an example, again, payment history and that total debt utilization, if you only work on those 2, that's already 65% of that credit score. Also, you see here, how long do negative items stay on my credit report? I won't go through each of these, but it's very important that you notice the maximum time on your credit report versus the negative item, right? By law, they will remove the information from your credit report, all right? But keep in mind, it's your debt. So what that means is, since it's money you still owe, those debt collectors or those credit companies, they can still add that debt back onto that credit report, and it'll start their cycle all over again. I say this because I'm seeing it more and more to where they are removing the information from the report, but we're seeing it added back on. So keep in mind, whatever is going on with debt, we highly recommend you to try to pay it. If not, again, we have things in place to help you with that. So this is very important to know as well. Also, I think this would be my last slide, but establishing and rebuilding the credit. These are tips that's listed here. So it's very important that you're protecting yourself against identity theft. I say that because, again, it's very important that you're looking at that credit report, at least on an annual basis, every 3 months, however you want to do that, because there could be something fraudulent reported on there that needs to be taken care of. Again, we have the tools in place to help you with that. By law, you can dispute anything on the credit report, basically, but most definitely any inaccurate information. We can help you with that as well. If there's any past debt, we highly recommend you to pay that, even if you have to settle those debts. Also make those on-time payments. That's key to keeping that credit score up. Remember, like I said, that's 35% of your credit score. Also keeping those credit card balances low. Like I said, that's 30%. Also, if you're looking to, say if you never had credit before, or you're looking to rebuild, we highly recommend the secured credit card or a secured loan. And basically how those work, you can go to your local bank. A lot of them have those. Is basically where you're putting money up front in return. So say for an example, going back to my $300 example, say if you go to the bank and you give them $300, basically. What they're doing is putting that $300 into a savings account. In return, they will give you a secured credit card with the same amount. What they're doing is monitoring that card for you, but they are reporting to the credit bureau just as, just like it was an unsecured credit card. But again, we highly recommend tell people to use it like an unsecured credit card, which means staying below that 30% and paying that bill basically on time every month. Also becoming an authorized user. This is another way to build that credit or, establish. I know, for an example, for my son, I don't have a lot of credit cards. I have like one, by the way, because I have learned my lesson. But moving forward, what I have done there, I added him when my son graduated from high school, basically, I added him to the credit card that I have. So he went from having no credit score to having over 700 plus, because what he did, he inherited my credit history. And that's a good way to establish. But keep in mind, you want to be able to trust the individual who, you asked to do that, because how that card is used, it will reflect on our credit report and vice versa. Also, don't close any accounts, like I mentioned earlier, and also pay off those closed accounts with balances. That's very important that you do that as well, because like I mentioned earlier, going back to how a long debt can stay on that credit report, because we have seen creditors coming back adding that information to your credit report if you owe them any debt. And I think this concludes my portion of the presentation. So if you have any questions, please put those in the chat. I know we will answer those for you. The next screen has my contact information. Again, like I said, if you want to include your email within the chat, please feel free to do that. And also, if you would like to contact me to set up that one-on-one counseling, my information is listed here. My work cell is 865-242-8872. My email address is kristie.blevins@operationhope.org. I look forward to hearing from you all, and hopefully this was helpful. We have many other sessions to discuss, but hopefully this topic here was very important and that you gained a lot of information from it.
Oh, Kristie, that was absolutely phenomenal. Lots of great information. We have one question in the chat. Delunda writes, what will happen once you pay off an installment and all you have left are installments?
Okay, so I have a lot of examples when it comes to finances, okay? So like you say, when you paying off an installment, keep in mind that is debt. Basically they calculate that information to come up with the credit score. So once you pay off that installment, that debt goes away and your credit score will go down, but give it about 3 months and it will come back up. Now, if you have all installment on your credit report, like I mentioned earlier, it's very important that you get some revolving. And that revolving includes a secured credit card or an unsecured credit card. You can go with your local bank, First Horizon. They have all kind of product, or there's other credit companies that I'll most definitely recommend to help you with that as well.
You have a second question. She said she did mean revolving, so you touched on what she was talking about. Okay. Tiffany asks, does paying a collector increase credit score?
Okay, so for an example, say with the collector, if you do have an account in collections, then if you keep in mind anything that's reported in collections is seen as negative debt, all right? Because it was late, you paid late on that, or it may be a bill you never paid at all. Once you pay that collection and it is still reported in collection, it still will actually calculate as a negative debt. So one of the things we recommend, once you pay that collection off, I highly recommend you to call the creditor and ask them to delete that or remove that from your credit report. Once you pay it and it's removed, it will help your credit score.
Great answer. Next question, can a collector take a debt off your report or discard the debt?
Well, they probably won't automatically do that, but depending, again, like I said earlier, we have a lot of tools in place to help with this, right? Now, say if it's something, they have something called a good faith estimate, basically, or a good faith letter that we can actually give you all to help with that. So depending on what was going on as far as your payment history, they may remove it that way. But again, in order for me to actually make recommendations on something like that, I need to see how it's reporting on the credit report.
Tanya asks, how much of an impact does it have on your credit if you go above 30% of your limit? Basically, when you use those credit cards up.
It can have a great impact. I have seen to where, I'm helping people get that score up, and then you can actually use that card for 1 month and go over, say if you went over $5, that score will go down tremendously. So again, try not to go over that 30%. All right.
This is awesome. I do have another question for you because I thought it was great information you gave about adding your son to your card as an authorized user. This is that season of graduation. You've got a lot of young adults emerging from households. What conversation should parents be having with their young adult children about credit and going off to school? Because mom and dad aren't around to say,
Exactly.
be wise with your money and watching.
So even another portion of this that, I'm really big on is that budget, right? So that's a very important conversation to have with your children. But as far as credit goes, it basically goes back to the pie chart that I showed. If you actually kind of educate them on what that looks like there, I highly recommend you to do that. Also, as a college student too, going back to my son, for an example, when I did add him as an authorized user, he could only use the card for gas only, because I already knew within his budget, he already had that money allocated for gas, right? So I know by the end of the month, once the bill came, he was able to pay that off and the balance in full. That's something else that I didn't really mention about when you are using your credit card. Again, I don't like that, right? So I don't teach it unless it's working for you. But I do highly recommend you to pay the balance once you get the statement, because anytime you carry over a balance on that credit card, you're paying an annual percentage rate for the purchase and also just for using the card. So keep that in mind. And that's where the interest kind of, stacks up. So it's very important that you pay that off.
Well, one more question before we move on to our second speaker, and you've been giving great advice, Kristie. Latanya wants to know, after 7 years, the debt will drop off. You indicated that the debt can be placed back on the report after 7 years. Now, I'm glad she asked this question as well, because it made me go, now, wait a minute, because a lot of people say, well, I'll wait 7 years and it'll be off my credit and I'm good to go, almost like as a way of financial planning.
Yes. So even like I said, as it, just doing this for a long time and the experience I have gained from this, my mindset was the same way. But now it's like, wait a minute, people want their money. So they're adding it back. And by law, they can do that. And I even seen to where some people have actually put judgments on people and taken them to court, even after that 7 years. So again, it's very important that you're paying the debt. Okay.
Thank you so much. And Kristie, thank you. And again, you all can drop your questions for Kristie in the chat. She can answer them there, or you can email her. You have her information. It's time for us to move on. We have a second dynamic speaker, DaVett Jones. For over 20 years, DaVett Jones has served as a financial services professional, serving clients nationwide, working with the top U.S. investment companies. Independent nationwide agency owner and senior sales manager. She's also the author of the book, Who Taught You How to Be Broke? I love that title, by the way. 2022 Gold Elite Producer and Diamond Income Ring recipient, and she's a featured speaker for the Society of Black Agents, as well as the United Way of Greater Knoxville Investment Committee, where she's on that committee. She says she's your secret weapon with a subtle touch. In 2002, DaVett fell madly in love with life insurance and financial planning, serving in various roles from operations manager, marketing director, to registered financial advisor. She brings financial awareness, education, and inspiration to thousands of people with her down-to-earth personality and solution-oriented attitude that has earned her trust, respect, and many valued relationships. DaVett loves fine wine and dining, live music, and spoiling her granddaughters, the twincesses, not princesses, but the twincesses, who effectively call her Money. I love that for your name, Money. So Money, go ahead, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you all offering me an opportunity to come up and share my financial gospel. I love talking about money, money, money. And if you know my twin sisters, them grandbabies, they call me Money because that's the one thing that they are learning about at an early age. When we talk about financial planning, we talk about money as early as possible. So today, because I'm a little bit out of the box, if you know me, you know I keep a lot of energy and I like to do things a little bit differently. So does anybody want to play a game with me today? And we are okay. I see the hands going up. All right, so let me go ahead and get all of my technology pulled together because we're going to play a game, and it is going to be retirement trivia. So most of us are getting to retirement age, and we understand retirement itself is going to be a number one thing that we're going to be focused on in our financial plan. So let me get this Zoom screen out of the way so I can actually share. All right. So can everyone see my screen okay? Perfect. Are you ready to play this? Now, I want you to go into the chat box and answer the questions. We're not going to be sitting over here being just listeners. I want you to be interactive with me so we can kind of test a little bit of your financial history, okay? So, round one, we're going to start with retirement. Here we go. When should a person start saving for retirement? When you use your job for 401k, when you win the lottery, when you get your first job, when you are able to say, I don't have to worry about it, God will provide for me. Go in the chat box and tell me which is the answer, A, B, C, or D. What is the answer when you should get your first retirement account? Are they going in the chat box, Keith? All right, I got my moderator, Keith, in there. He's going to help field some questions for me as well. So the answer is when you get your first job. Now, the first time I went viral was because I put up a post of my 16-year-old daughter. She was working at Kroger's pushing buggies and she had a Roth IRA. It's not because she was infinitely wealthy and I was putting money into it. It was just the fact of when you got your first job working at Kroger's or anywhere else, they had Social Security taken out of your paycheck. Ain't Social Security one of those retirement accounts that you expect to have when you get to a certain age? Absolutely. So the same thing is true as when our kids, we just spend a lot of money on prom. Let's make sure we're putting a little bit, $50 a month, $100 a month into a Roth IRA, because the one thing that we know about retirement is that we want this money to compound and grow over time. We don't want it to just put it in and it not have any purchasing power, okay? Now, there are some major changes that are going to happen to the retirement landscape. The two biggest assets that most of us have is one, our home, and two, our retirement accounts, our 401ks. So being able to look at what those dynamics and changes we've already seen with the interest rate changes, there is a huge dynamic of people whose house values have gone up tremendously. However, they can't sell them because they can't buy another place to go, right? Then we, of course, got our 401ks, but if you paid attention today, the Dow Jones dropped almost 500, a little more than 500 points. So you don't want to sell when it's in a down market. So please understand, there's a lot of people, as you see at this article from just Friday on CNBC, it said that there's going to be a lot of changes. I read an article this morning that said about 40 million families are defined as ALICE. They are asset limited, income constrained, but still employed. That means you got a job, you making too much money for welfare or any of the benefits. However, you are still constrained and not able to move forward with your financial plans. Did anybody else get hit with inflation the way that I did? When gas, milk, bread, I remember it was the chicken wings. When the price of my chicken wings and Buddies went up, I knew that inflation was a real problem here in this city. And mind you, that was 2021. So we've been going through it for a couple of years, but that's why we have our money in our investment accounts, is so they can keep up with inflation. All right. Now, round number 2, how much should a person invest for retirement? All right, go back to that chat back. I want to see some numbers coming out here. So is it whatever you can afford after you pay your bills? Is it going to be whatever they match you with the company? Or is it going to be 20% of your income, or just $100 per month? Go ahead, give me some answers. I need to see some more stuff moving in the chat. Okay, I see some numbers going. Good, good, good. I love it. I love it. So the answer to that is 10 to 20% of your income. A lot of people have it where they are investing or saving long after they pay all of their bills. They say, I can't afford to invest. Baby, you cannot afford not to invest. That's first and foremost. The company match is great. And the reason why most people only have money inside of their 401ks, like I said, that other big asset, is because they're putting that money in before you get your paycheck. Hello? They're putting it in before you get your paycheck, before you pay your mortgage, before you put gas in your car, before you pay any of your insurances, your home insurance, your car insurance, groceries, your child care, daycare. They're doing all of that. So that 3 to 5%, you see the power of that 3 to 5%. I want you to do 10 to 20. I want you to double, triple, quadruple that, so you can be able to have some growth inside of your portfolio. But I'm like Kristie. If you set your budget up right, go on and say, let me do $100 a month. I can afford $100 a month, and I can move up from that. I can move from 105, 120, but the goal should be 20% of your income. Okay. Next section. Let's talk about your budget, because we talk about something that is the 50-30-20 plan. 50% of your income is going to be the things that you actually need. Another 20% is going to be your wants, and another 30% is going to be your wants, and another 20% is going to be your actual savings, and typically it's said debt. However, I'm of the frame of mind that I believe that debt is a want. It is not a need. So I want you to start putting more money towards your future savings bucket, because we've got a lot of financial problems that we have not even addressed. Have we talked about the national debt is $34 trillion and the country is going broke and you're depending on them to finance your retirement? No, baby. You might want to do some of that on your own. You might want to take a more proactive role in that. Let's also talk about the 3-legged stool of retirement, where it used to be your pension through the job. Most people don't have pensions. Only 13% of people still have pensions. You have your Social Security. Well, of course, that has the tendency to, right now, it's about to go broke in the year 2034, I believe. And then you also have your own investment. Right now, our 3-legged stool is falling short. I need you to start looking at putting more and more towards that saving and investment bucket. The debt is definitely something that you need to eliminate, but you cannot take loans in retirement. I need you to have some cash. Do you hear me? Okay. Now, let's get to our next round. What is the best retirement account to have? Is it a 401k? Is it a Roth IRA? Is it an annuity or bank savings account? Let me see that chat numbers go. All right. The best retirement account to have is an annuity. Now, why? You remember when they told you, and this is a chapter directly from my book, when they told you to go ahead and finish school, and when you finish school, then you would go off to college, and when you were in college, that they didn't really give you money for a college education, but you had to work in college and you created that student loan debt. Now that you actually got out of college and you got your first good job with benefits, that good job with benefits was a pension. It was an annuity. It was a guaranteed income stream for the rest of your life. What our parents and our grandparents have, where they get a check, that mailbox money, they don't have to lift a finger. They don't have to worry about the stock market. They don't have to do anything but get up and go to the mailbox. Even when we think about Social Security, that is in a form of an annuity. Annuity is a guaranteed income stream for the rest of our lives. I like to tell people the reason why our parents never taught us about financial planning is because they had the right financial plan. They never had to learn about the stock market. They never had to learn about mutual funds and gold and any of those other things, because they had those pensions through those jobs. And when you have the pension through the job, then you know, I get to retirement age, that pension is going to give me a check. The annuity is the closest thing that we have to a pension in this day and age. Now, I love a Roth IRA, I love a 401k, and I love our bank savings accounts. And I'll talk about them a little bit more in my 7 accounts, but let's keep moving on to the next section. Oh, this is something that is really, really very new. I just did a whole TikTok video about this maybe about a week ago. So you can go to my TikTok, DaVett Jones, but BlackRock, you see this is from CNBC. They have started implementing annuities inside of your 401k plans. Now, when I first started researching this, they're talking about that you may have to have $100,000 to be able to get into this. But the whole point is that people are running out of money in retirement. Typically, people would only take 4% of whatever their account balance out of their 401k to be able to use that to live off of. So if you have $1 million inside of your 401k plan, you can only take $40,000 to live off of per year. Just about everybody on this Zoom right now live off $40,000 plus. Okay, so that's with a $1 million account. So if you don't want to go broke in retirement, it is very advantageous for you to start looking at the annuities and incorporating them into your financial plan now, especially if you do not have those pensions through the job. All right, y'all ready for the next question, next round? All right, let's see what we have here. Investment types. Which retirement vehicle is not older than hip hop? The hippity, the hip hop music? Yes, and also less secure. Is it the 401k? Is it life insurance? Is it annuities? Or is it Social Security? Come on, chat, where you at? I see some numbers moving on. Okay, it's the 401k. Now, mind you, it's only been implemented since 1982. So when we think about it, we might have kids older than this 401k, okay? But this is a fairly new retirement plan. And the one thing that I want you to take into consideration is it took the burden off of the employers to plan for our retirement and it put it back on us, me and you, where we don't have all of this financial experience. They don't have 20 years worth of background. So that is a vehicle that, again, stock market dropped 550 points today. If the market goes down and you lose money and you retire the next day, how much money do you take out? Because that does hinder your retirement plan. It is built on the stock market chassis. So we'll talk about that. Life insurance is more than 170 years old. Annuities go back to the Roman Colosseum days. And Social Security has been around since 1913. But again, Social Security is going to have a huge change by the year of 2034. Now, we talked about the different investment vehicles that you could be in. You've got your savings account. It's great. At the bank, you have a savings account and you'll get principal protection, but you're not going to get tax deferral. You're not going to get lifetime income, and you're not going to get that much growth. The same thing with money markets and CDs. You may be able to get 3 to 4%, but again, it's not going to, right now, inflation is at 3.5. It's barely keeping up with inflation. It's making sure that your dollar has the same purchasing power. It doesn't give you any extra umph. Now, we love equities and stock markets. That's what we have our 401k and our retirement accounts are set up in. And they give us a great rate of return. We're talking about 10, 12%. But when you factor in inflation, that number comes down to about 6 to 7%. So understanding that the stock market and the equities have great growth potential, but they can also lose money. The same thing with crypto. I'm sure everybody's hearing more about crypto and Bitcoin and Ethereum and Ripple and all these different things. These are still volatile markets. Real estate is really a great investment. However, real estate probably shows about the same as the stock market. It has about a 6 to 7% rate of return when you factor in all of the costs. Also, being able to take into consideration as real estate gets more expensive, it's going to be really challenging for you to get another place if you were to move out of one, unless you were downsizing tremendously. One of the things that I do and I love is the fixed index annuity. So as she mentioned before, I was a financial advisor and I surrendered my securities license because I wanted to be able to talk to people more about index annuities. They have principal protection, i.e., never lose a penny. If you put in $100 and the market goes down to 50%, that $100 drops to $50. If the market goes back down, goes back up another 50%, the value is only 75. So even though it dropped 50% to 50 and it grew back 50%, it's at 75. It's not back to the same 100. In the annuities, it says the market drops any percentage, 50, 100%, your account value stays the same. It never loses a penny. And I love that about that vehicle, because most of us who never have had any experience with investing, we're very risk averse. We don't want to see our 100 drop down to 50 and come back to 75. So we need to be able to have a portion of safe money. The tax deferral. We love a good annuity because in the respect of when you put that money into it, you don't pay taxes till you take it out. Whether it's a non-qualified annuity, a Roth IRA annuity, or a regular IRA 401k annuity, you don't pay any taxes until you start taking money out, and you only pay taxes on what you take out. So like we said, you could have that $1 million in an account and you only pay taxes on the $40,000 that you are using to live off of. The lifetime guaranteed income is phenomenal, because it would probably take that same $1 million where the stock market would only let you take out a 4% rate of the return. You could be able to take out closer to a 6 to 7% rate of return on that $1 million inside of the annuity. So it's a great vehicle to be able to help you to extend your income and get a bigger pay increase. And they also grow with the stock market. That's what the index is. It's indexed off of the S&P 500. We use mutual funds. We use exchange traded funds the same way that you have inside of your 401k. So when the market goes up, you capture gains. When the market goes down, your account value stays the same. All right. And the annuities are also linked to something that I call the Vision Vault, which is a cash value life insurance policy. And we love these vehicles because primarily it can be tax-free, not only for death benefit, but it's also tax-free when you're using that income stream. So for a person like me who's self-employed and I do not have a 401k to put $20,000 to $30,000 into per year, I can put that into my cash value life insurance policy, and it is principal protected. I get tax deferral. I can be able to take tax-free distributions. I can turn it into a guaranteed income stream and also have the growth potential of the stock market. I tell people that's how I build a house without picking up a hammer. Okay. Now, let me get back. I only got a couple more slides and we are going to be on our way. What is the first contract that every one of us should have? Any ideas? Stocks, crypto, stocks, mutual funds, EFTs, bank CDs, life insurance. Okay, I see you. I see you moving there. I love it. I love it. It's life insurance. It's absolutely life insurance. And for our babies and our grandbabies, 2 weeks old, we need to get policies on them when they're 2 weeks old. Protect their insurability. The Rockefeller family writes $1 million life insurance policy on all their babies when they're born. And when someone passes away, all of that money from the death benefit goes back into the family's trust to be able to benefit. All right. We have so many people. My daughter was 16 years old, was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. She'll never get another life insurance policy. Fortunately, we had one for her. So that way she could be able to have something for her husband and for generational wealth. I absolutely encourage everybody to make sure you do something to get policies on our kids as early as possible. It is the best investment. Do y'all remember those old Gerber commercials where it says, have you started saving for your kids' college education? Well, yes, we have the Gerber Corporate. They were talking about life insurance. They were talking about taking that cash value out and using it for the kids' college education. They were speaking in code right in front of us. You hear what I'm saying? That life insurance, they were talking about doing that on the babies as soon as they were born. Now, what is the purpose of life insurance? Is it burial and funerals? Is it income replacement? Is it generational wealth? Is it children's education? Don't let me trip you up with that one now. It's all of the above, baby. It's all of the above. All right? Because yes, we do use it for our final expense. We do use it for income replacement. If I were to pass away, then that means that we still have money for my spouse and my children to be able to have to pay the mortgage, to pay utility bills. We, live in a society where it's a dual income household. So it's absolutely important to have some money for income replacement for a period of time. Generational wealth, as I mentioned, the Rockefellers, the children's education, as I mentioned with the Gerber plan. All of these things, plus, come on, your girl keep coming, retirement income, mortgage payoff, living benefits, which we don't talk about too much. Heart attack, cancer, and stroke. Life insurance has a policy that will allow you to pull a portion of your death benefit out and use it in your lifetime. You don't have to die to use this life insurance in your lifetime. Long-term care, my grandmother was 96 years old, 94 years old with Alzheimer's, dementia. We would have been able to use a portion of her death benefit in her life insurance policy to be able to pay for her sitters, her at-home care. That long-term care, we all know somebody's probably lost a house. because of long-term care. They had to put them in a nursing home. We don't talk enough in our community about long-term care. And what I love about it being inside of a life insurance policy is, what if you don't need long-term care? Then the death benefit still goes out to your family. You didn't waste money. You understand? So definitely a conversation that I want us to start thinking about as we've gotten older, because we probably have friends and classmates who's already had a heart attack or stroke or cancer, or they don't qualify for a policy anymore. What are we going to do to make sure that we're protected for the future? And trust and estate planning, so very powerful. Knowing that you would have the life insurance that's paid into the trust, like I said to the Rockefellers, that's generational wealth. That's keeping the money up. That's keeping the house paid off. That's even when we talk about real estate, you could have commercial property. In about 5 to 10 years, you're gonna have to do some remodel on that property. So even though the kids might be living off of the proceeds, the income of that real estate, how are you going to reinvest back into that real estate? Even thinking about it, maybe 10 or 15 years, maybe that area is not a good area. We might need to move to another area, relocation fee. That life insurance creates another bucket that says we can maintain that piece of property for a longer period of time, for truly generations, not just for a couple of family dynamics. All right. I talk about the 7 different accounts that every adult should have. It's a very simple list. Your checking and savings account, which everybody should have. You've got your Roth IRA. When you get your first job at 16 years old, you need to put money into a Roth IRA. Even now, if you start looking at your 401k balance is too significant, you need to start putting some money into the Roth IRA, because that's going to be tax-free money in retirement. Even doing the Roth conversion is a great way for you to move money from one bucket and put it into the other. Your 401k is a great vehicle. It's primarily for income tax deduction. It was never set up to be a 401k plan. You have to check me out on another day, because I can go on and on about that one. The annuity and pension, we talked about that tremendously. We want to have that guaranteed income stream for life. $50,000 permanent life insurance policy. I just did a video about my cousin wanted to pull money out of her son's life insurance policy to pay for her dad's funeral. Well, dad had a $7,000 policy, but you go to John and get a patent right now, it's $15,000. Now, dad's had his policy forever. But when we think about us getting to our 60s, 70s, and 80s, well, just the same way that milk, gas, bread, and everything else got more expensive, that life and that funeral cost is going to get more expensive. So get something a little bit bigger that's permanent. I love a term life. I still have term life insurance policies. Have your terms, but also make sure you have something that's permanent that's going to be there in the very later years. Long-term care, as you say, disability. Superman fell off a horse and was not able to go to work anymore. Our Christopher Reeve's our Superman. So that definitely impacts our income earning ability. And brokerage accounts. Yes, I love a mutual fund. Yes, I love stocks. Yes, I love having crypto inside of my portfolio, but I want us to have a well-rounded portfolio. All right. So those are the major things that I wanted to bring to the table today. I hope you found value in it. And of course, the chat is open. Like, Tirsa, what did I miss? I know I just be going 100 miles a minute. So
listen, I already knew you were going to bring it. So what you ought to know, so DaVett did a series for one of our youth groups for our Delta Academy girls during the pandemic. And my daughter walked away like, I'm about to be a boss. I got to do the following things. She was phenomenal. And I knew you were going to bring it tonight. Both of you all were absolutely fantastic. Now, we do have some questions in the chat for you, DaVett. Delinda writes, is it too late to get life insurance with health issues? So once you have health issues, what are your options?
So typically, if you have health issues, and if you're over the age of 40 and 50, then we can do something that's called a guaranteed issue policy. You might see those Colonial Penn and global life policies where you have to live for 2 years before you get a full death benefit. Yes, go ahead and get those. I've sold a lot of those. And trust me, I have sold them to way too many people who live 3, 4, 5 years. So it seems like it's very expensive now, but the reality of it is you could not take that same money from a life insurance policy and put it into another investment, because if you were to do that, only the life insurance policy is going to give you a 10 to 15% rate of return if you were to pass away before the 2 years was up. So think about it like this. You're putting your money into a savings account. That's why I call it the Vision Vault. And then it's going to pay you a 10% rate of return if you were to pass away early. And many banks is paying 10% right now, guaranteed. And if you live beyond those 2 years, then you would absolutely be able to have the full death benefit. I've got a client in she's in DC, HIV, positive. We have a 2-year policy on her. We're at year number 4. We're at year number 4. Very happy and grateful to be able to have that policy because she's not getting any better. And she's still living. Medication is making it where we live longer, and that's great. And she has cash value in that policy where she could borrow against it and use some of that money if she needs to. So yes, I absolutely encourage you to do a final expense policy. It is going to have that 2-year wait, but it's worth the wait. All right.
You have another question. Should you or can you take money from an IRA and start an annuity?
Absolutely. So we have something called a suitability rule where you can only take a certain percentage. So there are a lot of people who are looking at it now saying, let me take maybe 40 to 60% out of my IRA and move that into an annuity. We still want to keep another percentage of it liquid. So if you have emergencies or you needed to get to some quick money, then it can be there. Depending on how your annuity is set up, you may have a deferred annuity or you could have an immediate annuity. Immediate annuities, they start kicking out income immediately, just like the name. But a deferred says I may want to wait 3, 5, 10 years before I start taking out the income from the annuity. If you're going to be in a place where I'm going to defer it, I'm going to wait a period of time, we definitely want you to have some liquidity still inside of that brokerage account, your mutual funds, where you could get to that quicker. If you were going to pull money from an immediate annuity, it's going to be pretty much locked in and they're only going to give you a paycheck for the rest of your life. So I always encourage people to sit down, talk with a financial professional about their unique situation. Yes, being able to take a portion of it. Like I have a Roth IRA that's both in mutual funds and I have a Roth IRA that's in the annuity. My stocks make money inside of my Roth IRA. I'll immediately move that over to my annuity to protect it so it never loses a penny. But I'm still contributing to it because I'm still working age. So it gives me an opportunity to take advantage of both vehicles and know that I'm building them up the same way that you would build up any other of your investment accounts over time.
DaVett and Kristie, where can we, if anybody wants to read your books, how do we get those?
So you can always go to my website. Let's see, I think I have a QR code here.
And I'll show your website at the end. I've got a graphic I'll put up so everybody
Okay.
can write down your information if they didn't get it at the beginning as well.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
But there's the QR
that's
code. But my website is iamwealthynow.com. Like I love a good positive financial affirmation. I am wealthy now. No opportunity wasted. That's what NOW stands for. But yeah, you can go there. You can schedule me. You can be able to go to Amazon and put in my name, DaVett Jones. You'll pull up my book, Who Taught You How to Be Broke, and my adult financial anxiety coloring book that I just dropped last year, Money Mindfulness. So yeah, we've got a lot of different ways to reach out and connect. But
Oh, this is phenomenal. Let's give it a second. If there are any more questions, if you'll go ahead and drop those. You are wonderful. Thank you so much. Kristie, you are wonderful. At this time, we would like to bring on the Knoxville Alumnae chapter of Delta Sigma Theta, second vice president, Tracy Polite Johnson. Just to wrap up, we've had a phenomenal May week. If you have not been involved in our May week activities, I don't know what you've been doing this week because this was the perfect wrap up to a very successful week of empowering the community. Tracy.
I agree. I agree. Thank you to everyone who has participated. Thank you so much to our 2 presenters. Oh my gosh, I didn't know anything about the pie chart and how I can raise my credit score just by looking at different buckets. So that was very, very helpful to know because every now and then you want to make sure that you keep growing your credit score. So I really appreciated that. And I know we all got a lot out of DaVett as well. And I'm sitting here thinking I need an annuity and what am I going to do now to get an annuity for so I can have something for my child too. So thank you very much. So I'm speaking on behalf of our president, Talicia Mims, who was unable to be with us tonight. But again, she sends her thanks. We thank you all for joining us and keep a lookout for the things that we do in the community because public service is what we do. And we are appreciative to be able to serve our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tracy. And we do want to remind you that like Tracy said, to go to our website, go to our social media and stay on top of all the things that we've got going on. We thank you all so much for coming tonight. Our phenomenal speakers, I guess you all can give them a clap in the chat. or just give a thank you in the chat. I'm going to put up their information so that you all can see. If you didn't get their email or get their website, I'll pop this up as you all leave. But also, don't forget, this is a recorded discussion that we've had. So if you feel like you've missed something or you didn't digest it all, we are going to post this on our social media so that you can go back and take some of those notes that you may have missed out. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm going to go ahead and put up their information. I'll start first with Kristie. So if you need to write down her email address, maybe you need to contact her, get more questions answered about your credit, you can do that. And then I'll put up DaVett's info as well. Thank you all and good night. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Kristie, DaVett. You all were absolutely phenomenal. It was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate you all asking me to come out. And Kristie, great presentation. Love you always.
Yes, you too. Thank you. You all have
DaVett,
a
what
good one.
is your TikTok
It's my name,
handle?
DaVett Jones.
Just DaVett. Okay.
Yep, DaVett Jones.
David.
My cousin Tina was calling me. But yeah, DaVett Jones, or go to the website. My calendar link is there. You can schedule me and we'll sit down one-on-one and we can do a Zoom. We can do a phone call, whatever we need. Talk about your situation. Okay.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. I look forward to the opportunity to work with you.
Thank you both. It was
Let's see.
You all have a good night.